8 seconds. That's the total duration. 8 seconds to validate everything he'd been teaching. 8 seconds to convert 500 skeptics into believers. 8 seconds to silence an arrogant challenger. 8 seconds that transformed into martial arts legend. This is the story of the day Bruce Lee was teaching 500 students when a traditional karate instructor publicly challenged him, and 8 seconds later the entire trajectory of martial arts philosophy shifted forever. Long Beach, California, August 2nd, 1967. The Long Beach International Karate Championships, the largest martial arts gathering in America at that time. 5,000 spectators packed into the arena. Martial artists representing every conceivable discipline. Karate practitioners, judo experts, taekwondo masters, kung fu specialists, boxers, wrestlers. Everyone had converged to watch, to learn, to compete, to test themselves against the best. And Bruce Lee was there to demonstrate, to teach, to show what authentic martial arts capability actually looked like when stripped of unnecessary tradition and refined to pure efficiency. Bruce Lee was 26 years old, already famous within the martial arts community, already controversial, already revolutionary. He had challenged traditional martial arts orthodoxy and created his own system, Jeet Kune Do, the way of the intercepting fist, a philosophy that rejected rigid styles and embraced efficiency, simplicity, and directness above all else. Traditional masters despised it. They called him a rebel, called him disrespectful, called him a fake, called him a Hollywood showman trading authentic martial arts for entertainment value. But Bruce didn't care about their opinions. He knew his truth. He understood that time would prove him right, that results would validate his philosophy more effectively than arguments ever could. That afternoon, Bruce was scheduled for a special demonstration, not a competition, not a performance, an educational seminar. He would teach techniques, explain philosophy, share knowledge with anyone interested in learning. The arena managers gave him the main stage. 2 o'clock afternoon slot. Prime time. They expected maybe 100 attendees. Martial arts community members showing up, students wanting to learn. Nothing major, just a regular demonstration, a simple teaching session. But word spread rapidly through the venue. Bruce Lee is teaching today. 2 o'clock, main stage. People got excited, really excited. News traveled through the crowd like electricity through water. Instructors told their students told friends, everyone wanted access. By 1:30 in the afternoon, the main arena was filling up. By 1:45, completely packed. By 2 o'clock, over 500 students were sitting on the floor, filling seats, standing in aisles, pressed against walls, overflowing into corridors. Security personnel worried about fire code violations. But nobody left. Everyone wanted to witness Bruce Lee in person. Everyone wanted to learn directly from Bruce Lee, the man who had fought Wong Jack Man, the man who trained champions, the man who was revolutionizing martial arts philosophy. This was a rare opportunity, an exceptional opportunity. 500 students, all eager, all respectful, all prepared to learn. Bruce walked onto the stage. Simple appearance, black training pants, no shirt, no shoes, just his body. Lean, defined, 140 pounds of pure efficiency. Not bulky, not massive, just perfectly conditioned. Every muscle visible through his skin. Every movement purposeful and economical, like a coiled spring perpetually ready to release explosive energy. He bowed to the audience. The audience bowed back. Respect shown, respect received. Bruce smiled warmly at the assembled crowd. Thank you for coming today. I want to share with you not just techniques but principles. Principles that work universally, against anyone, in any situation. Principles that transcend individual styles and traditions. He began teaching. First he demonstrated the 1-inch punch, called a volunteer from the audience, a large man, approximately 200 pounds, muscular, confident. Bruce positioned him carefully, placed his hand on the volunteer's chest, 1 inch away. He explained the mechanics, hip rotation, whole body power integration, focused energy transfer. Then he struck from 1 inch. The volunteer flew backward 4 feet, landed on the padding, shocked. The crowd gasped audibly. Some thought it must be a trick, some kind of stagecraft. Bruce explained patiently. Not magic, physics, body mechanics. Anyone can learn this with proper training, proper understanding, proper dedication. Then he demonstrated speed, asked the volunteer to punch him. Full power, any technique the volunteer preferred. The volunteer threw a right cross. Bruce's hand moved, caught the fist mid-flight before it reached him. The volunteer tried again. Left hook. Caught. Right uppercut. Caught. Every punch, intercepted before landing. The volunteer became exhausted. Bruce was barely breathing hard. He explained to the crowd, speed isn't primarily about moving fast. It's about seeing early, anticipating, reading body language, understanding telegraphing, then responding efficiently. Economy of motion, that's the secret. 500 students were mesmerized, taking notes, watching with intense focus, some filming with cameras, capturing history as it unfolded. Bruce continued, showed trapping techniques, demonstrated chi sao, explained centerline theory, talked about economy of motion, about using an opponent's force against them, about the water philosophy. Be water, my friend. Water adapts, flows around obstacles, crashes with power when needed, remains gentle when appropriate. That's real martial arts. That's evolution beyond tradition. 45 minutes into the demonstration. Everything was going perfectly. Students were engaged, learning, understanding. Bruce felt good, fulfilling his purpose, living his philosophy through teaching, sharing what he'd learned through decades of dedicated practice. Then it happened. An interruption. A loud voice from the back of the arena. Excuse me, everyone turned. A man was standing up, walking down the aisle toward the stage. Confident stride, aggressive posture, chest puffed out, chin raised, everyone watching. Who was this person? What did he want? The man reached the stage, climbed up uninvited, stood facing Bruce directly. Everyone fell silent, waiting. Tension building palpably, you could feel it in the air. Bruce looked at him, calm, centered, no aggression, just awareness. Yes. Can I help you? The man was a teacher, a karate instructor, traditional style Shotokan. 5th degree black belt. He'd been practicing for 20 years, owned 3 dojos, had 200 students, successful, respected in his community, but also arrogant. He believed traditional karate was the only true martial art. Everything else was inferior, especially Bruce Lee's mixed-style nonsense. This demonstration offended him, challenged his worldview, challenged his identity, challenged everything he'd built his life upon. He spoke loudly, addressing Bruce but also addressing the crowd, making a public statement. Mr. Lee, I've been watching your demonstration. Very impressive, very entertaining. But I have a concern. You show techniques, but do they work in a real fight, against a real martial artist, against a trained opponent, not cooperative volunteers, real resistance, real combat? Bruce remained calm. He knew this type, had dealt with challengers before, skeptics, traditionalists protecting their territory, their ego, their identity. Yes, they work. I've tested them against many opponents from many styles. That's how I developed them, through real experience. The karate teacher shook his head dismissively. Testing against students isn't the same as fighting a real master. I propose a demonstration. A real demonstration. You versus me. Full contact sparring. Show these 500 students if your techniques really work. If you're really as good as your reputation claims, what do you say? Unless you're afraid. The crowd murmured. This was a public challenge. 500 witnesses. Bruce couldn't refuse without losing face, but accepting meant risk. What if he lost? What if something went wrong? Reputation damaged. Philosophy questioned. Everything he'd built challenged here and now, in front of everyone, in front of history. Bruce looked at the challenger, saw the arrogance, saw the ego, saw the traditional mindset, rigid, unbending. But he also saw opportunity, a perfect demonstration opportunity. A chance to actually show the difference between traditional and evolved, between rigid and flowing, between ego and efficiency, between style and no style. Bruce nodded slowly. Okay, we spar? But understand, I will not hurt you intentionally. I will show control, show technique, show the difference between fighting and combat. Agreed? The karate teacher laughed. A mocking laugh. Don't worry about hurting me. Worry about yourself. I've fought full contact for 20 years. I won't go easy. I won't hold back. He removed his shirt, assumed a traditional karate stance. Deep, rooted, fists chambered at his hip. Ready, focused, 20 years of training embodied in that stance. Bruce stayed relaxed, hands at his sides, weight centered, watching, reading, already seeing everything, already 3 moves ahead in his mind. Arena staff quickly cleared space, created a safe zone, placed padding. 500 students leaned forward. They couldn't believe this was happening. Live demonstration. Real sparring. Bruce Lee versus a traditional master. This was history unfolding right now. Right here. Cameras started rolling. Someone yelled, "Is there a referee?" Bruce shook his head. No need. This will be brief. The karate teacher didn't like that comment. Perceived overconfidence. Arrogance. We'll see about brief. Ready? Bruce nodded. Ready. The teacher assumed his fighting stance. Bruce stood naturally. The teacher began circling, looking for an opening. Bruce didn't move, just watched. Tracked movement, read tension, understood pattern, saw everything before it happened. The teacher threw a testing kick. Front kick. Checking distance, Bruce sidestepped with minimal movement. The teacher threw a reverse punch. Bruce wasn't there. Moved his head inches. The teacher's fist passed by his face. Close but missed. The teacher threw a combination. Jab, cross, hook. Bruce slipped all 3. Didn't block, just moved. Efficiency, economy, water flowing around obstacles. The teacher was getting frustrated. Nothing was landing. Bruce wasn't even blocking, just moving, making it look easy, making 20 years of training look irrelevant. The teacher decided to commit fully. His best technique, Mawashi Geri, roundhouse kick, high, targeting the head, strong kick, powerful kick. A kick that had knocked out many opponents. A kick with 20 years of training behind it. Beautiful technique, perfect form, all that traditional training concentrated in one kick. His pride, his identity, everything. Bruce saw it coming. Obvious. Telegraphed. The hip rotation showed it. The weight shift showed it. The eye focus showed it. The shoulder tension showed it. Bruce waited. Waited until the last possible moment. Then moved. Simple. Efficient. Stepped inside. Closer to the teacher. Under the kick. Invading his space. The kick passed over Bruce's head. The teacher was off balance. Mid-technique. Vulnerable. Exposed. Bruce's hand shot out. Lightning fast. Stopped 1 inch from the teacher's throat. 1 inch. Could have struck. Could have crushed his windpipe. Could have ended the fight. Ended the challenge. Ended consciousness. Ended life. But didn't. Just held his hand there. 1 inch away. Proving the point. Showing control. Demonstrating philosophy. Everyone saw it. All 500 students saw it clearly. Bruce could have finished it. 1 strike. But he chose control. Chose teaching. Chose demonstration over destruction. That was the difference. That was evolution. That was Jeet Kune Do. That was Bruce Lee. 8 seconds. From the teacher's first committed attack to Bruce's hand at the throat. 8 seconds total. Everyone timed it later. Watched the recordings. Counted the frames. 8 seconds. That's all it took. 8 seconds to change everything. Bruce pulled his hand back. Stepped away. Bowed respectfully. Thank you for the demonstration. You've helped me show the students an important principle. Fighting isn't about destroying your opponent. It's about control, about efficiency, about ending conflict with the minimum necessary force. You're a skilled martial artist. 20 years of training is visible in your technique, but training must evolve, must adapt, must let go of rigid form and embrace what actually works. That's Jeet Kune Do. That's real martial arts. The karate teacher stood there, shocked, embarrassed, humiliated in front of 500 people. His challenge, his ego, his arrogance, all deflated in 8 seconds. He'd thrown his best technique, His strongest kick, 20 years of training, and Bruce made it look irrelevant, made it look slow, made it look obsolete, without even striking back, just positioning, just timing, just control, just being water. The teacher bowed. Deep bow, deeper than before, the deepest bow of his life. I apologize. I was arrogant. I understand now. You've shown me. Thank you for the lesson, for not hurting me, for teaching through action. Bruce bowed back. No apology necessary. You tested me. That's honest. I respect that. You made me better, made the demonstration better. The students learned more because of you. Thank you. The crowd erupted. 500 students applauding. Standing ovation. Not for victory, not for dominance, for control, for teaching, for philosophy demonstrated in action. Bruce had shown them everything he'd been explaining with words. Showed efficiency, showed economy, showed evolution, showed that traditional techniques, while beautiful, could be overcome by superior timing, positioning, understanding, and letting go of rigid form. After the demonstration ended, many students approached the karate teacher, offered respect. That took courage. Challenging Bruce Lee. It takes even more courage to accept the lesson. The teacher nodded. I learned more in those 8 seconds than in the last 8 years. My ego prevented learning. Today my ego died. Learning began. Bruce spent another hour teaching, answering questions, demonstrating principles. But everyone remembered those 8 seconds. 8 seconds that proved everything. 8 seconds that showed the difference between traditional and evolved. 8 seconds that changed 500 minds, including the challenger's mind. The most important one, years later, that karate teacher became Bruce's student. He closed his traditional dojos, opened a Jeet Kune Do school, taught Bruce's philosophy, told the story of that day to every new student. I challenged Bruce Lee in front of 500 people. 8 seconds later, I realized everything I knew was incomplete. Not wrong, just incomplete. Bruce showed me there was more, a better way, a more efficient way. That day changed my life, changed my teaching, changed everything. The story spread throughout the martial arts community. Did you hear? A teacher challenged Bruce Lee at Long Beach. 500 students watching. 8 seconds later, the teacher became a student. Some details changed in the retelling. Some said it was 5 seconds. Some said 10. Some claimed the teacher threw a punch instead of a kick. But the core truth remained unchanged. Bruce Lee was challenged publicly. Bruce Lee proved his point definitively. Bruce Lee changed minds through action, through control, through demonstration. Without ego, without violence. Just pure technique, pure philosophy, pure Jeet Kune Do. That's what made Bruce Lee different from everyone else. It wasn't about winning, wasn't about dominating, wasn't about proving others wrong. It was about showing a better way, teaching through action, demonstrating through control. 8 seconds proved what hours of talking couldn't communicate. Sometimes action speaks louder than words. Sometimes control shows more than destruction. Sometimes 8 seconds changes everything forever. Long Beach, 1967. 500 students, 1 teacher's challenge, 8 seconds of truth. Everything changed. That's Bruce Lee's legacy. Not the fights he won, the minds he changed, the students he created, the philosophy he spread. 8 seconds at a time.